it's me, Kia, and I'm back with another video. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the transition from girlhood to womanhood, how to become your dream woman, how to grow up, the difference between, being grown and being a woman. So if you're interested in this type of womanhood conversation, just keep watching. I have my me time candle here. You guys know that I launched my lifestyle and self-care brand, the October Song. The me time candle is great because it has notes of amber, musk, and vanilla, so it's a very warm and comforting scent. And this is a great candle if you're ready to have a you year. It's important to practice self-care. Always be able to incorporate those moments to just pause and breathe and be in touch with yourself. And the me time candle from our high note candle collection is the perfect candle to do just that. And if you're manifesting a me year, this is the perfect candle to remind you of just that. It's my time, it's me time. Okay, follow me on TikTok. You might recall I shared the story of what happened to me a few days ago. I was going into the office and I was looking for a parking space, so I parked, but I didn't really know the parking situation in the area. So I saw a woman, she pulled up and she parked behind me. So we both got out of the car, we were kind of looking around, and so then I asked her, I was like, hey, how are you doing today? Do you know the parking situation over here? And she said, no, I don't. I was gonna ask you. So then we started like laughing about it, and I told her, well, I was just thinking, hey, she looks like a nice lady. Let me ask her and see if she knows. And so then I asked her if she was going to the same building as me, and she said she was. And she was like, you know what's funny is I've been working here probably since I was your age, and if I would have seen you at my age walking down the street, I would have called you a lady. So I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I like being a lady. I was recounting that interaction and I shared it, and I was so like overwhelmed with the number of women who resonated with that story, because I was just getting into how a lot of times in my culture and people who have a similar culture to me, there really are no rites of passage to womanhood. So nobody really sits us down and talks to us and guides us through the process of saying, like, what type of woman do you want to be? This is what womanhood could look like for you. Like, what are your, intentions with yourself, and how do you plan on being the best version of yourself? But it's such an important thing. So getting that acknowledgement from a woman that I know when I was a young girl, I would have looked at her and said, like, oh, I want to be like her when I grow up. Getting that acknowledgement from her to say, like, oh, like, girl, you are a lady too. It really meant something to me, and it kind of solidified the fact that, my intentions to improve myself, to change the way, I dress, the way I'm presenting myself, the way I'm showing up, that it's working and it's paying off. With that, it sparked an even further conversation, and a lot of women were flooding the comment section saying how, they're 28 years old, they're 35 years old, they're 40 years old, and they still feel like a girl. They still don't quite feel like a woman. They say, I pay my own bills, I'm independent, I have a job, I live alone, I still don't feel like a woman. Some people shared the story and saying, like, yeah, I have my own job, I work, but my family still sees me as a little girl. They refer to me as a little girl. They treat me like I'm not a woman, or that, I don't have my own thought process. So I took a risk in sharing that, and it was definitely worth it, because for a long time, I thought I was the only one that, processed life in that way and was thinking about those things of like, I am who I am now. I feel like a girl, but at some point I want to get into womanhood, and how do I bridge that gap? So I've shared my journey of growth, maturity, reinventing myself, coming into womanhood, and I wanted to share a few tips that might help you on your journey towards womanhood to bridge that gap with that awkward phase that comes from thinking that you're a girl and wanting to grow into a woman. So first off, there's a big difference between being grown and being a woman, because a lot of us have been grown for a long time, since we were 17, 18 years old. But being grown is kind of like everything's available to me, so I'm gonna do it. I get to do it because I'm grown. But being a woman is more so about deciding what you will and won't be available for. Now, this is gonna vary from woman to woman. It's going to look different, and that's a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be the same, and none of us want to be the same. But ultimately, you have to decide what what is the best version of woman that speaks to you, and how do you show up consistently as her? Once you determine the ideal version of woman that you envision, you quite simply just have to decide to be her. You have to tell yourself that you're worthy of growing into this space. It doesn't have to be an overnight situation, but practice in this area truly does make perfect. You decide to be her, show up as this version of yourself consistently, and continue to evolve in this ideal version that you envision for yourself. What has helped me own my womanhood transition is keeping promises to myself, acting in integrity, and being consistent with the way that I choose to show up in the world. When you consistently make decisions that you're proud of and align with the ideal version of a woman that you want to be, then you will feel like you're a woman, and you will actually begin to see and believe that you are that woman because you consistently perform and act and show up as her until it just becomes embodied as who you are. When it comes to this womanhood conversation, age truly doesn't matter. Like I mentioned, a lot of times nobody gives us the opportunity and sits us down and guides us through this process, and that's okay. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you don't know, but just use this opportunity as a space to move forward and own your womanhood because it's too good to miss out on. I started this journey at the age of 24. I'm 26 now. Some women might come into this at the age of, 22. Some women might come into it at 28 or 35, and some women were saying that they were 40 and they're just now feeling like a woman or just now starting to understand that, they need to grow up, and that's okay. Our experiences in life are so varied, so different, and they're so unique to us that as long as you're making the decision to become a woman and you're doing it with the best intentions for yourself in mind, that's really all that matters. Other themes about transitioning from girlhood to womanhood that came up in the discussion section on TikTok was the fact that our society values girls seemingly more than women, that a lot of women don't want to be seen as older or be called a ma'am. Quite frankly, a lot of women fear transitioning from girlhood to womanhood because they don't want to feel like their time is up, which is something that is perpetuated in society. This is where your choice to become a woman actually comes into play. A lot of times we're taught to just accept what's presented to us. So if society values girls, then you perpetuate this never-ending cycle of girlhood, and you're in this constant state of limbo where you never really fully, own your womanhood or grow into the woman that you've always wanted to become. But that's not ideal, because what I come to understand with a lot of women, it creates a disconnect in who you are, your confidence, how you're able to show up, and how you see yourself. Growing into womanhood, taking that step, making that choice, it's literally our birthright. It's a beautiful thing. Though our society might value girls and youth, that's okay. We're all girls at heart. We should always be girls at heart no matter what the age is, but at some point you have to decide to become a woman in fact, because our society needs women. If you resonate with any of the topics in this video, think about how detrimental it could be if we all just decided to stay in this limbo phase of being girls and we never really stepped up to own our womanhood. When I met that woman on the street, what she said to me was an affirmation, because I have already been desiring this, to feel like this, to feel like a woman. I know that this is a part of my journey, my purpose of me feeling whole and complete and confident in the person that I am. So her telling me like, you're calling me a lady, well, you're a lady too. It's like, I accepted that. I love to hear that. I embrace that. If somebody calls me ma'am, I'll accept that and embrace it too. A lot of times we're taught to be fearful of age, when really it is a beautiful thing that a lot of people do not get to experience. Instead of looking at it as like something that you have to give up, a stage that you're being kicked out of, that you're old now or your time is up, you should be open to embracing that next step on your journey of being a woman. Look at the contradictory message that it sends when someone says, oh, excuse me, ma'am, can you give me directions here and there? And you say, oh, I'm not a ma'am. It's like that fear of transition is so crippling for women. We all want to be confident. We all want to be looked at in high esteem. We all want to be able to walk into a room and feel like we're owning it. But if you're not owning a critical part of your, development and transition, how is that going to manifest itself? The best way to change how people perceive you is to perceive your perception of yourself. So if you feel like you're going through life and people don't see you as a woman, you have to first see yourself as that. Sharing this is a part of like what I want to give to the world and why I named my brand October Song. October represents change and transformation. Song is the oldest form of storytelling, and October Song is a self-care brand dedicated to women to help us embrace those changes, help us to embrace those transitions, to be fearless, not to be afraid of the different phases and the transitional points that come with womanhood, and to sing your song, tell your story, be bold about it, be proud about it, use it to inspire and help somebody else. When it all comes down to it, it absolutely has to do with mindset. If you view yourself as a woman, then you practice being a woman, then you will become a woman. It's inevitable. The reason why a lot of us maybe own our own homes, cars, have our own places, pay all the bills, maybe live alone and do a lot of things independently, but we still don't feel like a woman, that's because being a woman is not tied to all of the boxes that you check, but more so of the essence that you bring and how you formulate your life in a way that's most ideal to speaking to the person that you want to be. If anything, checking off those boxes can be more so tied to girlhood and being a child and doing what you're told. We're told to grow up, establish independence, get a degree, get your own, place, be able to pay the bills, be able to take care of yourself. And you do all of these things and you check off these boxes, but you still don't quite feel like the woman that you've always wanted to be. Your womanhood is going to be more so tied to your interests, your hobbies, how you rest, how you relax, how you're able to cater to yourself. What hobbies do you have? How do you show up for your family and friends? How do you nurture and love them? How do you have conversations? Those are all things that help you grow into and own your full place in the womanhood space. Again, growing into womanhood, it can seem awkward. It's almost like a second phase of puberty, and you might not always know the steps to take and what are the right decisions, but as long as you practice those decisions and get comfortable with making things up and trusting that you know what to do is best for you, then you're going to be okay and you're going to continue to grow your confidence as a woman. I'm the type of person that I'm not afraid to make things up. A lot of times people look at me and say, well, how are you just going to do this? Or how are you going to say this? Or how is that going to work? I might not have all the answers, but I'm confident enough in myself to make my own mistakes, make my own decisions, and ultimately trust that I am making the right decisions for myself. That is life. That is living. That is owning who you are, making your own decisions, and that is what being a woman is about. Living your life to the expectation of others and negating your own desires is not going to help you feel happy or fulfilled in life, and that is what we are all reaching for. It's natural to not know, it's natural to have fears, it's natural to feel awkward, because womanhood is actually a transition and it's a change and it's a choice that you have to make, and you might not know what's on the other side. Speaking for myself personally, making that decision, being intentional, showing up as the woman that I've always wanted to be, and then having other people see that and recognize that has been one of the most rewarding things in my life, and like that is like the biggest thing that I can cross off on my vision board for this year. If you want to own your own life, feel like you're finally growing up, come into womanhood, you have to ask yourself, what is the ideal version of myself? What does she look like? How does she show up? Where does she go? How does she dress? How does she walk? How does she talk? Envision those things for yourself, practice them, and be consistent with it, and you will be feeling like the woman of your dreams in no time. I have to tell you, there is no other confidence than the confidence that comes from being embodied in the type of woman that you want to be. It's okay for you to make mistakes and feel awkward on your path and your journey towards owning yourself, growing up, and coming into womanhood, because bravery is not about having all the answers, not making mistakes, and doing things correctly. It's about having the courage to take that step forward, own your own truth, and be the best ideal version of yourself, because when you do that, you show up way brighter in this world and you're able to just make yourself feel the happiest, and that's really what we're all aiming for. I hope this video helps someone. Let's continue the discussion down below. Do you ever feel like an adult teenager, or do you ever feel like you're playing dress up or cosplaying a grown-up instead of actually being an adult? Have you ever felt this desire or need to shift or transition but maybe did not know how? And have you gone down the path of discovering what womanhood might look like for you? I want to know in the comments section below. Thank you all so much for tuning into this video. Don't forget to give it a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.